Hello and welcome back. In this episode I set out to test a few mods and to show you my latest setup. Unfortunately, things didn't start off too well.
I'm on my way here to get into a little testing ground to test out some mods, and I've run into a problem. Could be a bad problem. So I was coming up this little rut here, and I don't know if you can see what's happened there. The rut's actually grabbed my chain and pulled it off. So I thought I hit neutral and I tried to drive out of it, but it didn't work. And when I looked down, I could see the chains come off. So now we need to get the bike out of here, see if we can get this chain back on. You can see what's happened there. So hopefully there's no damage. Hopefully I can just pull the chain back out. It's not wrapped around the countershaft sprocket or anything. Hopefully it's as easy as just loosening the axle, pushing the wheel forward and getting the chain back on. We've done no damage. Let's get out. If we can push it out of here or drag it back down, see if we can get it fixed. I've just tried to move the bike backwards, but the chain in here, it's gone behind these nuts and it's wedged in there. So as the wheel went backwards, the chain was getting caught up underneath. You can see my hands where I've had to rip it out. So it looks like we can't move it up or down. I'm just by myself at the moment. So I'm going to try to fix it here, lay the bike over, undo the axle and straighten this mess out, hopefully. You can see there, chain was getting kinked up. I'm going to have to operate right where we are. I'll lay the bike over and hope for the best. Okay, I've pulled the chain out. Wasn't as stuck as I first imagined, which is good. So I'm actually going to try an old motocross, an old enduro trick. And sometimes on the KTM, the chains, they run a little bit looser on the KTM. They can come off if you hit something like this, pushes the chain off, and that's what's happened. We've come up here, rocks hit this, pushed the chain that way, and it's come off. So what we because my only option is going backwards, I have to do it backwards. So I've got to put it on the top and roll the bike backwards, and hopefully that will roll the chain back on. So I've got it on at the top, off at the bottom. Let's see what happens. The chain's back on, but what we've got really loose at the bottom, really tight at top. So it's obviously skipped a tooth when I've put it back on. So what I'll do, I'll get it back down here, take the wheel off or take the axle out, move it forward, adjust the chain where it needs to go, and then continue on. But that's an easy way to get the chain back on. Unfortunately, it didn't get back on the right way. That's super tight. So I better fix that before it puts any strain on that. Super loose. Let's get this fixed and continue on. This is why I should always ride with a full toolkit. So I've got my factory tools and a few extras in here, and then I've got my tyre changing kit with this Schonke approved tool here. So this will do the back axle, and there's also a tyre lever. So that's Schonke approved there. This one we'll do the front axle. I've got a little hex that goes in there, and also my other tyre lever. So those two with the little hex, I can get both wheels off. Now I'll get the bike down and we'll show you how we do this. Alright, what I've done here, I've taken off the nut on the other side, kicked the axle through a bit, just enough to knock this out and knock the spacer out, pushed the wheel forwards, and that's given me enough slack to take the chain off. Got this on now. There we go. Just doing it one-handed, so we can see it's now loose on the top and bottom. What I'll do is I'll pull the axle back now, put it into its right spot, and we should be right. Fingers crossed. That's why I always have a rag in your toolkit, because you're going to get dirty and you don't want to put those dirty hands back into your gloves or put your helmet on with it. So I always have just a bit of cut up t-shirt or something. It's also really good to lay out and put all your parts on when you're working on the bike. Put all your tools on so you don't leave anything, lose anything, and then clean up afterwards, and I'm pretty good. Now that I've got the bike back out and the chain on, just want to show you one of my other shonky inventions. I've taken an old tent pole, cut it down, put that together, see there, and if you have a look under here, there's a little hole. And what I do, so I'll locate that in the hole, push the bike onto the side stand, back wheel comes up, jiggle that into the hole, put there, and look at that. We've got the bike off the ground, ready to change our tyre, fix our flat, or in this case, retension the chain, get that all set up. Actually, I'll take this as a test now just to check my sprocket's not damaged. Just spin it. Can't see anything too bad there. Looks okay, it doesn't look like it's damaged. Got a few scratches on the hub, some battle scars. Now we're just gonna, I've wound this back, get a little bit more tension on the chain there. So I've adjusted this. One thing I don't like about the CRFs, it's got this nice, you know, adjusting mark here, where's good and where's bad for chain tension, but the actual marks you need are the ones under there, which are a bit of a pain to see. I'd prefer that on top and that bit underneath. But Mr. Honda, can you change that in future? So now I'm just going to tighten those up, and I'll show you how we do that. So our adjuster, we get something, a little tool, screwdriver will do. I use a spanner, pop that in there, pull it back, and what that's doing is putting a lot of tension on here and pushing the swing arm back against these adjusters. Hold it there while you do your final adjustments here. So I'll just back that off and I'll pull it back. You can see that's putting tension on there, pushing the axle forward. Axle's far forward against these stops as possible. Now I'll do this up, and you never want to do these too tight. And another tip, if you've noticed, I've swapped my axle around. The axle used to go in this way and then pull out this way, but that makes the nut really hard to get off. If you swap the axle around, put the nut on this side, when you put your tool on the back, all you need to do is rest your foot here and push down, and it will come off. A lot easier to undo in the field. And never do these up with tools that you don't use in the field. That way they're not going to be too tight in the first place. So that's probably as tight as I want. Yep. And I'll just nip these up, take my tool out over here, check my tension. It's Probably a little bit loose, but I'll leave it like that. I'll fix it when I get home tonight. That's got no weight on. When my weight's on there, it'll be a bit better. But can't remember the exact adjustment that Honda says, but it's somewhere around there. All right. I'll get my other spanner, tighten these up, and we'll get back to the ride. I just noticed that was off, so fix that. There we go. I'll make bleeding easier next time I need to get to that. So we hold that one, lock it off, and we just tighten this one up. Just firm, don't break it. That'll hold our adjuster there. Do the same on the other side, swap them around. Hold that one. Just this one. Just firm. There we go. We're all done. The bike's back together, working. Nothing's broken. Got a few battle scars on the hub there. But we're all good. Now, to get this back out, you simply push on the rear again. Pull it out, back down, done. Pop that back in your tool belt, toolbox, tool bag in my case. You can see I've cut these down. Everything's around about the same size, so it fits in. And there we go. We're back on the road. Now, I'll get in the bush and show you the stuff I've actually come here to show you. We finally made it to the bush. Had a few dramas on the way, but here we are. Now we can talk about the things I actually wanted to come here to talk about. So I've done a few mods in the last couple of weeks. Wanted to share those with you. So the first and most obvious mod, been testing out or trying to test fit a prototype Adventure Rally X rally screen. So this is the KTM rally screen. Adventure Rally X have this as an option on their towers, and we wanted to see if it was possible to put this on the CRF 300 and 250 rally. Unfortunately, we ran into a few problems. Now, I did have a full tower to try, but I just tried test fitting the screen to mine first, and this is when I ran into some problems. You can see here that the KTM rally screen and the Honda fairing integrate quite well, but unfortunately that's not an easy fit. There's quite a lot of shonky engineering to get that to work. The KTM rally screen has these side wings, which are really good at deflecting the wind away from the body, but they also have these little tabs that come out under here for, on the rally bikes, they have a little bit of fairing that fits into the other fairing. On the CRF, I was hoping to utilize these mounting points, which I have here, but unfortunately on the standard screen, those tabs interfere on this side. Not sure if you can see. We've got the wiring, we've got the wiring loom going that way. And if you can see there, I've had to cut and bend this part of the screen to get it to follow the contour of the CRF fairing, and also to get the wiring loom through there. And there's a bit of dodging on this side too. I've still got to finish bending this one out, just to clear the triple clamps and the forks. The way it's run on the Adventure Rally X tower, they have a light box here. I'm not running the light box. I've just put this straight to my Adventure Rally X tower for the CRF 300 Rally. With the light box, it actually brings it out a little bit further, but that would actually make this junction worse, because the wider bit would be here and these would be splayed out and it just wouldn't look as nice. So unfortunately, it's not really an option for Adventure Rally X to offer this for the CRF 300 Rally. I've managed to put it on mine with some shonky engineering, and I actually think it looks quite good. I really like it. Let me get on this side. This is the view when you're riding. This is the view sitting down. It's got plenty of protection. The wind comes over, hits me about eye level, but it's smooth, it's clear, it's clean air, no buffeting. These bits push the wind out around you, so it's quite good. Unfortunately, I just wish it would fit the standard CRF better, but it's not going to work. As I said, too much dodging around in this area. I've managed to get it to fit, but it's not a viable option for production. So that's one of the mods. I still need to finish. I will make this a little bit neater, and I'll put some sort of screen here to protect the lights from rocks. But that's the first mod that you see, and man, I think that looks good. Really happy with that. David from Adventure Rally X sold me this, printed me up a new sticker, put it on. He really sticks by his customers, does a lot of research and development, trying to provide really good products for his customers. But this is just an example of that research and development not actually getting to production, which is unfortunate. But the other mods I want to talk to you about are my tyres. So some of you might have seen, put a few posts up on Insta and on the Facebook pages. This is a Dunlop D603. You can't see it there, just there. Dunlop 603, and it's actually in the 120/80 18 size. So this is your standard size that the Rally comes out with. As you can see, those knobs are great. I've probably done 50 Ks on it now. Mostly freeway to get here. So far so good. I'm going to do a bit of testing today and report back what that's actually like. But I just wanted to show you before they get too chewed up and what they're looking like. But they look great. Standard size, so gearing is not changed when you put it on. I'm really looking forward to see how these go. The other change here is the front tyre. On my last few rides I've been running the Dunlop 952 on the front, and I've been running the standard rear tyre that these came out with. The Dunlop 952, why I liked it, it was a good knobby, it was good on the road, it was okay in the dirt, but it was cheap. So I've run them before, and as soon as I put it on this and I hit the dirt, I remembered why I stopped running them. They are just a little bit skatey on a loose surface. Just when you get that initial turn, they have a tendency to slide, and it's not very confidence inspiring. I did run the Dunlop 952 throughout the Outback adventure that I did, so 2 weeks, and you know how many thousand Ks we did on that. The 952 performed well. Like, I didn't have any real issues with it, but I just didn't have the confidence to push it hard on loose surfaces. This Pirelli Scorpion Rally, and it's in a, no, made that better or worse, a 90/90 size, so it's a little bit fatter, and it's a Scorpion Rally race, so it's this tread pattern. And I've run these before. I've run them before on my Africa Twin, and I knew they worked well. They work extremely well on big bikes. It's like the go-to tyre for adventure bikes on the front. It's amazing. But I'm going to see how they go on this lighter adventure bike, my CRF 300 Rally, my lightweight adventure bike. They are a super strong carcass, so you can just see it's got a little bit of flex in there now. I thought that was too hard when I first pumped it up. I was expecting that would be about 20 something. It's only 15 PSI, so they're a really strong carcass. I'm running it soft. I don't really have a set PSI with my tyres because every tyre is different. Every sidewall is different brands. So what I do, I have the squeeze test. I just want to see a little bit of movement. You can just see a little bit of movement there. So I've got, you know, the tyre can do its work. I don't want them really hard. I want them firm so they're not going to get pinch flats, but I want them with a little bit of movement in there so the tyre can do its work too. The tyre is part of your suspension package, so it's no good having your tyre up at 28-30 PSI on a small bike, because that's just making the suspension do all the work and the tyre do nothing. It's probably give you a harsher ride. But so I'm going to test this out. So far so good. On the road and on the freeway, these tyres in combination have been amazing. Smooth, quiet. I do have earplugs in, so they could be loud, but with earplugs in, they're quiet. And I can't fault them on the road. So we'll get in the bush in a minute and we'll do some testing and see how they hold up in the bush. The third thing you might have noticed, third, 1, 2, 3, maybe fourth thing if you count the tyres as two things individually, I've got a new muffler. So I'll give it a start. Turn that on. So if you can hear that, it's not too loud at all. If I give it a rev, it does get louder, but it's not offensively loud. Let's turn this off. My test for an offensive exhaust is if I can ride it round on the streets normally without earplugs and not be annoyed by it. So this one I can. It's probably at the upper limits of not being annoyed, but it's not annoying, especially on cruise. When you're accelerating and you're opening the throttle, it is a little bit louder, but once it settles into a cruise, your set speed, it's quiet. So in order to test these tyres, I want to do more than just run them on a fire trail. So this may not be what you consider to be normal adventure riding. For some, oh damn, there's a tree down. This is going to be extra special. But this is the type of stuff that I ride, and my adventures sometimes get me into. So I want to make sure my tyres can handle this. And I'm not sure if it's picking up on the video, but this is quite steep in the downhill direction. And the tyres are gripping well. I'm riding the brakes. Let's see if I can cross over here. It's a little bit moist still. And those tyres are doing great. So it's really important that my tyres perform, not just on the road, but in these situations, because adventure riding, you're going to find yourself in situations you didn't plan. And here I am. I'm just going to stop in this mud. You can see that is boggy mud. Just make sure I can drive out of it. Yeah, no problems. We'll follow the rest of this trail, and then we might just go back, and we'll go back up that hill. I'm not going super fast, because when you're adventure riding, you're not going fast. You're out exploring half the time, and you're definitely not wanting to go fast when you don't know the tracks. You can't see ahead too far. So those, where are we going here? Go up, I think. Tyres are having no problems in the wet sloppy stuff. I'm going to go through the mud. Yeah, no problems at all. Oh, this is a good test of tyres today. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a good track to test the mud capabilities. Now, let's see. I am taking that one, the worst routes I can, to test these tyres. The grip is great. Grip is really good. Didn't actually know this truck would be that hard. I can make it all the way to the top. Easy peasy. So, where are we? Oh, that's where we started. So quite impressed with the grip of these tyres. go see how they perform at speed. Lock up. Okay, again, not really your average adventure truck, but this is where I end up more often than not. Stuff like this, which can be a real pain if your tyres are working against you. These tyres are working amazing. That's more enduro than adventure, but it's got me to where I wanted to come to. This track here. Let me catch my breath, and then I want to tell you about my gearing, one of the mods I forgot to mention earlier. One of the things I forgot to talk about earlier was actually my gearing. So I've just changed my gearing again, and this I think is the final time I'm going to change it. What I'm running now is a 15 tooth front, and a 15 tooth is kind of hard to find. This is a Sunstar front sprocket, and I think it's just might be time to find a new one. I had to import that from America, I think. So 15 at the front and 39 at the back, and this is with the standard size rear tire, so 120/80 18. And what I've found with that, with my mods, previously with all my gearing, I've struggled on the freeway. I've had good top speed, but I've lacked torque where I need it. So this setup, my mods and this setup, gives me good torque between about 5 and 8,000 RPM. And especially on the freeway, between 6 and 8 is where I need it on the freeway. So this gearing lets me sit 6,000 RPM at 100 kilometers an hour, 6,500 RPM at 110, and 7,000 RPM at 120 kilometers an hour. And now I can take it, I have taken it up to 130 and a little bit more, but just cruising between that 100 and, let's say, our speed limit's 110, so we cruise at 110 to 115 maybe sometimes a little bit more. But at that speed, it's, you know, it's between 6 and 6,500 RPM, and it's just cruising. It's got power for hills. I'm only light, I'm only 70 kilos. I'm not sure what that is in your pounds, but I'm only light. This pulls me, and it's perfect. I've settled on this gearing, the mods. I'm not chasing any more power now. You might see from my videos that it's quite tall geared. So that last hill I was going up, I did drop back to first, but I was still carrying good ground speed. I could have done it in second, but when you're talking on the video and trying to concentrate on different things, first gear is probably better. But this gearing suits me, suits what I want to do. It can do everything. So you've seen I've done some enduro type stuff today, and it's done that, and I can sit on the freeway at 120 all day, and it's just cruising at 7,000 RPM. It's perfect for me. So think about your final gearing. What I found was tyres. Tyre size affected final drive gearing and affected the road manners, how it performed, especially in 6th gear, because this is an overdrive 6. That's why I went back to the standard size. That's why I wanted to try this Dunlop 603, and so far so good. I'm happy with it. It's kept my gearing and my power characteristics the same, but it's given me great grip. So I'll continue on this ride, but I just wanted to touch on my final gearing, what I've settled with. 15, 39, standard size rear tire, and that's good for me. As I said earlier, I'm running this Pirelli Scorpion Rally at about 15 PSI. I'll have to check when I get home, but it's just hard enough or firm enough that I can just push on it and get it to move a little bit, but it's improved the suspension. So that little bit of suppleness in the tyre has actually made the whole bike feel better.
That was the end of my tyre testing day. I was really impressed with these tyres. I'll be giving this setup a big test in the coming weeks when I head north to pre-run the New South Wales CRF rally tracks. Keep a lookout for that video as the Shonky Adventure crew test out a 2-day loop on the New South Wales mid-north coast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.